Hello. My name is Meif. First I'm going to talk about the gimmick of this deck. The Predaplants like to use the foe's monsters as fodder, for the summon of their fusion monsters. By using this gimmick, the foe loses a monster while the deck gains a monster. Fusion monsters most of the time are -2 when summoned, because most of the time, they require one spell card and 2 monsters in the hand or field. Being able to use the foe's monsters, means my foe is going -1 every time I summon one of my fusion, and I am going -1 instead of 2. This gimmick causes the foe to lose advantage. Because the deck is so focused on using the foe's monsters as fodder, it is a going second deck. Now on to the Predaplant cards of the deck. I run 3 copies of Scorpio, because it can special summon another Predaplant from the deck, which is a strong effect. Then I run 2 copies of Cobra. Its effect searches for a fusion spell card, but it needs to be special summoned by the effect of a Predaplant monster, for its effect to trigger. Cobra is the best choice to summon using Scorpio's effect, because after it's summoned I can add Predaprime Fusion from the deck to my hand using Cobra's effect, then fusion summon with Predaprime Fusion using Cobra and Scorpio. Next I run 3 copies of Chlamydosundew. It's basically a worse or Super Poly in monster form. Which means using this card effect I can go -0 for a fusion summon. But I'll need to use another card to give my foe's monster a Preda counter, to be able to use the monster for the fusion summon. Then I run 1 Flytrap, because it doesn't really help with fusion summoning my monsters. The next card I run is Banksio Grey at 1 copy. I contribute a foe's monster with a Preda counter to special summon it from the hand, causing my foe to go -1. Then I could use it to go into Dragon, if I got a level 3 monster on field, or just use it as fodder for fusion or link summon. I run 2 copies of Hydra because it can be special summoned from hand or grave tributing a foe's monster with a Predaplant counter. Also, due to its level I run only 2 so I don't brick with it. Finally I run 1 Chimerafflesia, 1 Dragostapelia, 2 Triphyoverutum, and 2 Anaconda in my extra deck. Chimerafflesia will be summoned most of the time when I am to go first. This is due to its delayed floating effect which allows me to add a card after its destruction. Then Dragostapelia is if I got the materials on the field to summon it and already have a lot of advantage. Triphyoverutum is my main boss because I can use 3 dark monsters on the field for its summon. So, if my foe got multiple dark monsters he'll most likely summon Triphyoverutum. I run 2 Anaconda because I can use its effect to use Super Poly or Predaprime Fusion from the deck. Next I'll explain the Preda spell and trap cards. First are the spell cards. I run 3 copies of Predapractice. It's a searcher for any Predaplant or Preda spell and trap card. Plus it's a free special summon from hand. I also run 3 copies of Predaplast, a quick play spell, to help get counters onto my foe's monsters so I can use my monsters' effects that require counters. Then I run 1 Predaponics, a continuous spell, just so I can get more fodder onto the field. Next I run 2 Predapruning, a equip spell, just to revive my Predaplant so I can go into more fusion monsters. I run 2 Predaprime Fusion, also a quick play spell card. I don't want to run 3, because I could just use Super Poly which would be more efficient, because I won't need to use 2 of my own monsters. Now we are on to the traps. I run 3 Predaplanning, a normal trap. It's a good card against XYZ and Synchro decks because Preda counters reduce monster level to 1, plus I could use it to send Hydra from my deck to my grave. Finally, I run 2 Predaplanet, a continuous trap card. Its effect is very slow but, it is a searcher for any Predaplant or Predap card. Now on to the other main deck monsters, spells, and traps. I run 3 copies of Evil Thorn because it can easily be used to summon Anaconda. I also run 3 copies of Lonefire Blossom, because it's a summon of any of my monster from the deck. Then I run 3 Super Poly, which is my main fusion spell card. Finally I run 3 Imperms for just filler. Then on to the other extra deck monsters. I run 1 Mudragon and 2 Venom, they are both Super Poly targets. I run 1 Croco Dragon, 1 Access Code Talker, 1 Jasmine, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, and 1 Underworld Goddess. Croco Dragon is there, because I wanted a synchro monster I could summon if I ever want to use Banksio Grey for a synchro summon. Jasmine is to further combo plays. Access Code Talker is a beatstick if I ever need one. Nightmare Phoenix and Unicorn are just fodder for Access Code Talker's effect. Finally Underworld Goddess is my Oni monster removal, because I could use one of my foe's monster for its summon. My side deck is filled with cards I feel would be helpful. And that's my whole deck explained. I don't think this deck is able to gain enough advantage to beat majority of meta decks, but its gimmick is quite fun. I believe I'll enjoy sending my foe's monsters to the grave using Super Poly, as fodder for my monsters. Also this deck of mine isn't very optimal. When creating this deck I wanted to utilize the counter aspect of the Predaplant as much as I could, which hinders the deck's speed a bit, but it also means I'll be able to do more cool moves. Lastly I want to mention some cards, which could make the deck better, that I didn't include. Due to how the main deck is going to be mainly dark monsters, I think Allure of Darkness would be a good card to use, because it helps replace dead monsters in the hand. One could run Lair of Darkness to be able to more easily use Super Poly. I don't run it, because of how popular the dark attribute is. My foe will most likely leave a dark monster on their field for me to use on my turn. Finally I recommend the Patchwork Engine, meaning 3 Fright for Patchwork, 2 of any edge imp and 2 normal Poly. It helps bring out Venom easily.